Have you ever thought about that?
Because I liked it.
You...
No, I'm in recovery now. I enjoy it. There wasn't the idea of one drink never entered my head. Right. You know, I just get hammered all the time.
Let's get into the chaos that is Ozzy Osbourne's life, the ultimate Prince of Darkness. From his rough-and-tumble start in Birmingham to becoming the face of heavy metal, Ozzy's journey is just as wild as that bat incident. We're talking humble beginnings.
Well, a working class background, in the very sense. My father worked, everybody worked in factories. Yeah. Aston, Birmingham.
Insane peaks, tough falls, and a career that's still defying all odds. Whether it's the music, the mayhem, or the man himself that drew you in, let's unpack the legend that is Ozzy.
I went to school with Tony, and I was in a band with Geezer, and Bill was in a band with Tony, and it's like a small community kind of a thing, and we went...
Ozzy's musical journey kicked off in the late 60s, when rock music was shifting towards something darker and more experimental. His first band, Rare Breed, didn't last long, but it was where he and his future Black Sabbath bandmate, Geezer Butler, first teamed up. It was the beginning of a musical partnership that would go on to change rock forever.
Birmingham. Yeah, we all come from an Birmingham's an industrial town. It's like factories, and my father worked in a factory. All our fathers.
After Rare Breed fizzled out, Ozzy and Geezer kept playing around with sounds, and in 1968 they formed a new band, Earth, with guitarist Tony Iommi and drummer Bill Ward. The chemistry between them clicked, and their music started to take shape in a way that would shake the music world. In the beginning, the band struggled with finding their direction and gaining recognition, but things started to shift when their sound grew darker and heavier, moving away from the usual blues and rock influences. Iommi's heavy guitar riffs, Butler's bass, and Ozzy's creepy vocals all blended together to form a totally new sound. The band soon rebranded as Black Sabbath, a name that perfectly matched their ominous and heavy style. Their debut album was a game-changer, marking the birth of heavy metal. Tracks like Black Sabbath, with its iconic riff and dark, haunting tone, were unlike anything rock had seen before. Critics and fans couldn't get enough. The album was a hit and kicked off Black Sabbath's journey to fame. It blended blues, psychedelia, and hard rock, but with a much darker twist. The band wasn't afraid to dive into themes of the occult and rebellion, which helped them connect with fans and inspired a whole new generation of musicians. From there, Black Sabbath's success snowballed, cementing their place in rock history and making Ozzy a household name. The debut was just the beginning, and what followed were more albums that would define them as one of the most influential bands in rock and metal. Black Sabbath didn't just change the game, they created a whole new one.
I used to think, back in those days, I used to smoke lots of that weird stuff that makes you think weird.
Ozzy's career has been nothing short of legendary, loaded with insane creativity and epic achievements. But let's not sugarcoat it. The guy's had some serious hurdles, especially when it comes to battling his demons with drugs and booze. It's a story that started early and only got messier as he and Black Sabbath blew up in the 70s. Living that rock star life wasn't exactly a walk in the park. The non-stop touring, the crazy recording deadlines, and all the eyes on him 24/7, yeah, it added up. As Black Sabbath hit peak fame, so did all the temptations that come with being the center of attention. For Ozzy, partying wasn't just a weekend thing, it was more like a lifestyle choice. Booze and a cocktail of substances were always in the picture. Sure, his over-the-top antics became his signature, but behind closed doors, the toll it took on his body and mind was anything but glamorous.
Have you ever thought about that?
Because I liked it. No, I'm in recovery now. I enjoy it.
By the late 70s, things were a total mess. Ozzy's partying wasn't just a side gig anymore, it was wrecking his performances and making him pretty unreliable.
The idea of one drink never entered my head.
Right.
You know, I just get hammered all the time.
This, of course, caused all kinds of drama with his bandmates, Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler, and Bill Ward. The tension was real, and on top of that, they couldn't agree on how to keep their music fresh. Add Ozzy's unpredictable behavior, thanks to his not-so-great choices, and working together became a total nightmare.
You were drinking at the time, you were smoking.
Drinking at the time, I didn't even stop.
Eventually, the band had to make the call. Ozzy was out. After spending years shaping the sound of heavy metal and dropping legendary albums, the split was brutal. For Ozzy, it wasn't just about losing a gig, it hit hard. He later admitted he felt completely lost without the band that made him a global icon. Getting the boot from Black Sabbath could have been the end of Ozzy's story, but nope, it was just the start of a whole new chapter. At first, he hit rock bottom, drowning in self-doubt and doubling down on the partying. Things weren't looking great. Enter Sharon Arden, the woman who basically swooped in. Not only did she believe in him, but she also gave him the push he needed to snap out of it. With her backing him up, she'd later become his wife and manager, Ozzy found his way out of the chaos and kicked off a solo career that would take things to a whole new level.
I could be right, I could be wrong.
He's faced some seriously tough losses along the way. One major hit, the end of his first marriage to Thelma Mayfair. Their relationship was messy from the jump. They tied the knot early in his career and had 2 kids, Jessica and Louis. But the mix of Ozzy's growing addiction issues, the pressure of fame, and his wild lifestyle was like a ticking time bomb. By the late 70s, things were falling apart, and Ozzy's unpredictable behavior and cheating didn't help. When their divorce finally happened in the early 80s, it was a heavy blow. Thelma was there during his climb to stardom, so their split was a harsh reminder of what fame and chaos can cost on a personal level.
Times. They told me about blackouts, and I thought they were just trying to frighten me. Until I woke up one morning in Amersham jail, and they read the charge sheet that I was charged with attempt.
On top of his personal struggles, Ozzy was hit with another crushing blow, the tragic loss of Randy Rhoads, his close friend and insanely talented guitarist. Randy wasn't just part of Ozzy's band, he was the spark that helped reignite Ozzy's career after leaving Black Sabbath. Randy had this unique style, mixing classical flair with heavy metal, and it completely changed the game for Ozzy's music. Thanks to Randy's genius, albums like Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman became massive hits, both with critics and fans. His impact was undeniable, and losing him was a heartbreak that stuck with Ozzy for life. Randy lost his life in a shocking plane crash during a tour stop in Florida. The band's bus driver, of all people, was piloting the small plane when things went horribly wrong. After trying to buzz the tour bus for fun, the plane crashed, killing Randy and 2 others. Randy was only 25, and his death hit Ozzy like a ton of bricks. Randy wasn't just a guitarist. He was Ozzy's creative partner and one of the few steadying forces in his chaotic world. Losing him wasn't just personal. Fans and friends were left mourning the loss of a true talent with so much left to give. For Ozzy, it was yet another massive loss during an already tough chapter in his life. Ozzy also had to face the gut-wrenching loss of his dad, Jack Osbourne, who passed away when Ozzy was going through a pretty intense time. Jack wasn't just any dad, he was the hard-working guy Ozzy looked up to, putting in long hours at the factory to take care of his family. Even though they didn't have much, Jack always made sure they were okay, and Ozzy admired that dedication. Losing his father hit Ozzy hard, especially with everything else going on. The late 70s were full of chaos for him, with the fame, the addiction, and personal struggles all piling up. Losing Jack just added to the emotional mess, leaving Ozzy feeling like he was floating without anything solid to hold on to. Jack was more than just a dad. He was Ozzy's anchor in a world that was constantly spinning out of control. Even though Ozzy didn't talk about it much, that loss must have stuck with him, shaping his outlook on life, family, and everything in between. You can hear it in his music, too. His pain was something he couldn't hide. Ozzy has spent decades stirring up drama, especially with religious groups. They've labeled him a bad influence on teens and claimed his rock anthems are basically recruitment ads for Satanism. Most of this outrage comes from his over-the-top, spooky stage act and lyrics that some people think are all about worshiping the dark side. Scholar Christopher M. Moorman even compared the uproar around Ozzy to the backlash against Aleister Crowley, a famous occultist who ruffled feathers back in the day. The connection got even spicier with Ozzy's song Mr. Crowley, which dives into Crowley's mysterious, controversial life. It's like pouring gasoline on an already blazing fire. But Ozzy's been shutting those rumors down for years. He's made it clear he's not Team Satan. In fact, word is he's part of the Church of England. Yep, Ozzy prays before every concert. Talk about a plot twist. It's his way of grounding himself before hitting the stage and giving fans the show of a lifetime. Back in 1981, Ozzy Osbourne signed his first solo record deal and, well, let's just say the meeting with CBS Records got wild. The plan was to release some doves as a peace gesture. Cute, right? Except Ozzy, very much under the influence, grabbed one of the birds and bit its head off. Yep, you read that right. He spat the head out, blood dripping, in front of some very shocked record execs. This gruesome moment, it became one of the stunts that solidified Ozzy's reputation as rock's ultimate shock factor. Fast forward to January 1982, and Ozzy pulled another head-biting stunt, this time with a bat during a concert in Iowa. The story goes, he thought it was a rubber bat someone tossed on stage. Spoiler, it wasn't. According to Rolling Stone, the bat was alive, though the fan who threw it said it was already dead. Either way, Ozzy chomped down, got bitten in return, and ended up needing rabies shots. Iconic or horrifying? You decide. In true Ozzy fashion, he leaned into the chaos. On the 37th anniversary of the bat fiasco in 2019, he dropped a limited edition plush bat toy with a detachable head. Fans ate it up, and the first batch sold out in hours. Only Ozzy could turn a rabies scare into a merch opportunity. And honestly, this is just scratching the surface when it comes to Ozzy Osbourne and his, let's call them, unique moments. From biting heads off living, or not-so-living creatures, to sparking controversy with every step of his career, Ozzy's life is basically one long, chaotic headline.
You know, and this really is a miracle. On 1 year clean of smoking, cigarettes, dope, everything, and alcohol.
Yeah.
We could go on forever diving into his antics, scandals, and larger-than-life persona. But hey, some stories are just better left for another day, or maybe another lifetime. Whether you love him or side-eye him, one thing's for sure. Ozzy Osbourne knows how to keep the world talking. Ozzy's career is packed with awards and honors that prove his legendary status. From Grammys for I Don't Want to Change the World and Degradation Rules to being inducted into the Rock Hall of Fame twice, first with Black Sabbath and later solo. He's got stars on both the Hollywood Walk of Fame and Birmingham's Walk of Stars, plus a tram named after him. His memoir, I Am Ozzy, even won a literary award, and he's bagged lifetime achievement honors from the British Academy of Songwriters and Clio Music. Oh, and WWE inducted him into their Hall of Fame celebrity wing because, of course, they did. Ozzy's legacy isn't just in metal, it's everywhere.